War has been permanently transformed, and most of the world hasn't fully grasped it yet. In the air, on land, and beneath the seas, entire militaries are being reshaped by technologies that barely existed yesterday. Weapons once considered invincible are rapidly becoming obsolete. Conflicts that once might have dragged on for decades are now being decided in months, at an enormous human cost. In Ukraine, that revolution is unfolding in real time, while the rest of the world looks on, unable to slow or stop it.
If you go back to roughly 1935, the technologies we were using then, up until 2022, with the exception of the introduction of the jet, really hadn't changed. It was guns, it was artillery, it was tanks, it was ships, it was subs, it was helicopters. The jet was the only one that was introduced, and that was introduced late in World War II, 1944. We've had more technological evolutions in the last 3 years just in Ukraine than the rest of the world combined has had since 1960. So the rules, we don't know. We are only in the very, very early stages of developing the weapons, much less the doctrine, much less being able to play that against a battlefield. And we are very fortunate in the West that the Ukrainians want to partner with us because they are doing in real time the sort of experimentation that is costing lives, that if we were doing this in a broader conflict, would have already claimed 1 million people.
Zeihan is describing a battlefield unlike anything the world has witnessed in generations. Technology is accelerating combat at terrifying pace, rewriting the rules of war almost overnight. What is unfolding in Ukraine is not merely a conflict. It is a live laboratory of modern warfare, where innovations are tested in real time and every failure is paid for in human lives. This is the front line of a global military revolution, leaving behind the broad theoretical analysis of how warfare is being reinvented. The focus now shifts to the brutal, unrelenting reality on the ground. The revolution Peter Zeihan outlined is not abstract or speculative. It is happening now, in real time, across the war-torn landscapes of Ukraine. Every drone strike, every destroyed tank, every burned-out building is a visible demonstration of a new era of conflict where technology, strategy, and sheer human endurance collide. The consequences are catastrophic, immediate, and impossible to ignore. On the front lines, Russia's ambitions are being systematically dismantled, while Ukraine's resistance responds with increasing precision. The toll on Russian forces continues to climb at staggering levels. As of today, Moscow's military has reportedly suffered more than 1,196,000 personnel losses, including over 1,130 in just the past 24 hours. These figures are not abstractions. They represent human lives, soldiers pulled from the front, and communities shattered at home. Russia's hardware losses are mounting as well. In a single day, Russian forces reportedly lost 2 tanks, an armored personnel carrier, 11 artillery systems, and key infrastructure assets. Yet the most dramatic blow came in Crimea, where Ukraine security services used long-range drones operated by elite units to strike the Belbek air base. The attack underscored Ukraine's expanding reach and growing technological sophistication. A fully armed Su-27, ready for combat, was destroyed on the northern taxiway before it ever left the ground. The strike did more than eliminate roughly $60 million in equipment. It disrupted sortie capacity, impaired local command structures, and threw airspace management into disarray at one of Russia's most critical air hubs. This followed earlier drone raids that destroyed MiG-31 fighters, advanced radar systems, and a Panzer air defense battery. Belbek is a central node in Russia's Crimean air operations, providing cover over the Black Sea and shielding S-400 systems near Sevastopol. Each successful strike further erodes the illusion of Russian air superiority and highlights how tactical ingenuity can impose outsized costs. Beyond Crimea, Russia's reach is increasingly spilling into NATO territory. Reconnaissance drones continue to appear over Turkish airspace, with wreckage from Russian Orlan 10 and Merlin VR, UAVs confirmed in multiple provinces. These incidents are not simple navigational errors. They reflect recklessness and a disregard for international borders, forcing NATO members to respond while the Kremlin downplays the violations, revealing both hubris and desperation. Russia's logistical backbone is also under strain. The oil tanker Valery Gorshkov, damaged by a targeted drone strike near the Novoshakhtinsk oil products plant, began taking on water. Each hit against the shadow fleet infrastructure exposes the fragility of Moscow's support networks and demonstrates that no part of Russia's war machine is beyond reach. In the Kursk region, an electrical substation strike sparked fires and cut power to surrounding areas, further exposing the vulnerability of Russia's rear areas once considered secure. On the ground, the fighting remains intense and complex. Russian forces continue probing Ukrainian defenses near small settlements, reflecting a pattern of positional warfare rather than decisive territorial gains. In central Kharkiv region, Ukrainian troops are advancing along key highways, repelling Russian assaults while securing critical supply routes. Units such as the 30th Separate Mechanized Brigade continue to destroy Russian armor, motorbikes, and ATVs, steadily pushing invading forces back toward natural defensive lines. Further south, Ukrainian forces are maintaining pressure while countering infiltration attempts. Drone footage shows Russian assault groups attempting to move through pipeline corridors only to be detected and eliminated by coordinated drone and mortar fire. Dozens of Russian soldiers, including foreign mercenaries, were reportedly killed in these operations. Ukraine's responses reflect a lethal combination of battlefield awareness, patience, and technological advantage that consistently turns Russian tactics into traps. In the north, Russian troops continue testing Ukrainian defenses along railways, rivers, and forested terrain. Attempts to cross key waterways or exploit perceived gaps are met with disciplined resistance. Ukrainian air assault units are holding firm against relentless small unit attacks, using terrain as a force multiplier. Tank crews from brigades such as the 24th Separate Mechanized are engaging Russian armor at close range, further exposing the finite nature of Moscow's remaining reserves. Across the front, Ukraine is fortifying its positions on an unprecedented scale. More than 2,100 platoon-level strongpoints and over 3,000 kilometers of anti-tank ditches have been constructed, reinforced with obstacles, wire, and minefields. These defenses are layered and deliberate, often positioned well behind the front lines to force Russian forces into exhausting, multi-stage assaults. For the Kremlin, this makes any attempt to seize remaining territory in Donetsk by conventional means increasingly untenable. Diplomatically, the situation remains tense and unresolved. Talks involving Ukrainian, Russian, and Western representatives have produced no breakthroughs. Russia continues to frame the war as a proxy conflict with Europe, offering ceasefires only on terms that would undermine Ukrainian sovereignty. Kiev remains firm, prioritizing territorial integrity, security guarantees, and control over critical infrastructure, such as the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant. Economically, Russia is under mounting pressure. Urals crude has fallen to the mid-$30 range per barrel, deeply discounted after the loss of European buyers. Before the war, Russian oil sold only a few dollars below Brent. Now it trades at discounts exceeding $25 per barrel, steadily eroding a core pillar of Moscow's war financing. Every day, the war produces new examples of tactical ingenuity, catastrophic losses, and the collapse of long-held assumptions. From Crimea to Kharkiv, from pipelines in the south to rivers and forests in the north, the battlefield is fluid but decisive. Ukraine's precision strikes, layered defenses, and adaptive use of technology continue to impose devastating costs on Russian forces, weakening both their capability and their resolve. This is not merely a war of attrition. It is a war that exposes the cracks in Russia's military, logistics, and governance while showcasing Ukraine's growing strategic sophistication. The battlefield is alive with movement, destruction, and resistance. For the world, Ukraine is offering a real-time demonstration of 21st century warfare, the lethal fusion of human courage, technological evolution, and strategic insight. Ukraine is not only defending its borders, it is redefining how modern wars are fought, one drone strike, one counterattack, and one fortified line at a time.